Hello. Okay, so starting a new kind of style of doing the transits and readings. I'm working with this as this is if your ascendant is in Aries, and that's going to be different from your sun sign. It will generally, um, obviously, be somewhat related if your sun sign does fall in Aries. There's going to be obviously the discussion of like the Aries energy and how to deal with this. It's probably going to come up. It's going to be related, like I said, especially if you have a chart ruler that rules your native sign. Um, I feel like there's going to be some connections there. So, if your ascendant is in Aries in your natal chart, this is what we're looking at today. So, on the 11th, we have the Sun, which is in Scorpio. Right now, you can see here. And it's sextile with Pluto in Capricorn. There's Pluto up in Capricorn, so it's got a nice little conjunction. They're kind of communicating with each other. What that means is there's going to be some changes in the efficiency of kind of like your plans and your ambitions. You're going to get some extra clarity and awareness of like, I guess you could say, roots of problems. You're going to be really digging into issues, having a deeper sense of focus and attention to the things that are agitating you or limiting you, any kind of vulnerabilities. This as an if your Aries is in your ascendant is in Aries, then this is going to be touching in your 8th house and your 10th house. So that's 8 and 10. Now, both of these signs are strong in their houses. They're not in any kind of detriment. This will really increase focus on kind of like the deep mysteries in your life behind what's keeping you from your spiritual purpose, keeping you from being completely fit to compete like at the top in your field if you have like a small business or your work that you do has something to do with your very personal kind of reputation, your personal passions. You're going to be asking questions like, what limitations have you placed on yourself that are keeping you from getting what you want? Pluto and Scorpio, even though they're not, Pluto's not in Scorpio, but Pluto in this connection here with the Scorpio energy, Pluto and Scorpio do well in kind of digging into these kinds of problems, finding new solutions, that sort of thing. So I feel like secrets are definitely going to be discovered during this period for you. The next transit for your ascendant in Aries is November 15th. On November 15th, we have Mars, which is in Aquarius here, and it's sextile Uranus, which is in retrograde currently. It's in Aries. It has been since November 6th. So Uranus in Aries, right there. So that's this little connection here. It's a sextile. There's going to be a lot of extra drive for any kind of solo projects, any issues that are very personal to you, any kind of advancements, even technology, because Uranus deals with technology a lot. So there's going to be a boost to that kind of area of your life, as well as any kind of idealistic perspectives, big pictures, outlooks on things may get kind of a reworking. This is going to be kind of an echo or a revisit back from spring earlier this year when Uranus was in Aries. Uranus was in Taurus recently. It's part of the new cycle. It will be in Taurus for a while, but it always does a little retrograde period for a while. And now that it's in Aries, it's going to be a lot more fiery. So you may have a tendency to look back into some ideas that you had back then that maybe have come up, but you never actually took action on. Let's see. Any other signs, like if your sun sign is in Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, there is going to be a feel to this. It's going to kind of carry on into those signs. Definitely try to work out or do some kind of physical activities that lets you blow off steam, express stuff. Any kind of tension in the body allows you to express that is going to be a good activity. So for Aries, this is in your 11th house, and it's sextile your 1st house. So Aquarius is at home the 11th, so you're going to get a lot more spontaneity, originality in how you interact socially, how how you plan to accomplish your dreams. You're going to be looking for kind of a very unique edge, wanting to feel very original in how you compete in whatever it is that you're doing long term for your goals, your passions. Um, Uranus in retrograde in Aries has been helping out with this in a time. So with this boost, it may be reminding also of like some really great revolutionary ideas that you may have had, resolutions, big plans that you may have had that you haven't quite had a chance to move forward on. Now is a good time to revisit those ideas. Uranus was in Aries for a while, so maybe take a look at where Aries fell in your where Uranus fell in your natal chart, and see during that time in the last couple of years what kind of ideas you really had that were connected to that, and it may be a good time to take a look at those again. Next thing for Aries is, I'm pulling this up on my laptop, so that's why it always takes just a second. Okay, so November 15th we have Mars switching over to Pisces. So from Mars here, it's switching to Pisces, and that transition in general, Mars is a fire sign, Pisces is a water sign. Pisces is mutable. Mars is more like, I guess you could say, cardinal energy, starting stuff. So you're going to have issues maybe standing up for more personal goals of yours. You'll be extra focused on really these big ideas, sacrifices for your community, giving things up that are very personal for you because you're focusing on like the health of like the group, I guess you could say. A lot more adaptability. You're going to have some creativity, maybe some fusion of some ideas, but you're also going to be extra sensitive, very impressionable to others because you're focusing on ideas that are relevant to a lot of people. You'll also possibly be really into movies or stories that are related to like the underdog, or maybe somebody or some group of people that are oppressed and that sort of thing. Somebody who also main figures that sacrifice themselves in order to win for like the group, basically. So for Aries, the 12th house is going to be pretty booked in this. Your 12th house with Mars in it, you're going to have a drive to kind of explore the emotional unconscious side of yourself, a lot of psychic sensitivity, very impressionable and sensitive to other energies, other people's energies, things that are going on with them. Maybe having some big epiphanies about like big mysteries in your life that you quite haven't figured out yet. Expect some struggles focusing this energy into more material, personal achievements, as you'll be a lot more in tune with the big picture. And it's not something that you're going to really struggle with to give up, because for some reason it's just going to be a big focus for you. So, my last two here. On November 16th, Venus switches direct in its sign. It has been in Libra, but it's going direct. Now that that's happening, there's going to be a really big increase in clarity, a focus on the self-awareness as a result of finding contrast with other people's opinions and perspectives and things. You're going to start realizing more about yourself as a result of seeing how different you are from other people. So, it's really going to help you balance out relationships. Venus is really going to help with beauty, aesthetics, relationships, partnerships, romantic ones especially, self-love, that sort of thing. For the Aries ascendant, Venus in the sign opposite your own may kind of have you a little finicky in your partnerships when it was in retrograde, and now that it's direct, that energy is going to find kind of a more useful path to take. You're going to seem to feel a little bit more graceful and tactful, just naturally. Finding more fun and pleasant ways to get away from work are really going to help with any relationship tensions that you may have had recently. You're going to have a lot easier time, I don't know, I guess getting into difficult topics that you haven't been able to quite solve recently with all of this Venus in retrograde stuff. So, last one here is also on November 16th, we have Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius is representative of higher learning, wisdom, teaching, evolving others, waking other people up. So, Mercury in retrograde may really give you this feeling like you're like so wise and helpful, but for some reason this is the planet of communication, so there's going to be issues sharing that wisdom with other people and having them receive it in a helpful, meaningful way. People may end up resenting you or feeling like you're condescending or basically just not wanting that advice. Everybody's going to really all of a sudden feel very free with their advice and opinions on intellectual topics. So try to generally avoid sharing those deeper kind of opinions on topics when you're in a group of people that you're not quite sure if they're into that. It's going to be an extra sensitive time. People are just going to all of a sudden feel like getting into arguments over that kind of stuff. My recommendation would be to try more creative writing or anything that helps you to structure your thoughts better or analyze how you put together your arguments. It's always a good time to take in new information during this period instead of taking action. More reviewing, revisiting, and redistributing or restructuring things instead of actually planning and scheduling stuff. This taking action thing, as a result of communication being fizzled and kind of messed with, this is more of a period to constantly double check stuff when it comes to communications. So for Aries ascendant, it's falling in your 9th house. So it's over here. And the moon's over here and Jupiter's over here. So Sagittarius is kind of a busy sign lately, but with Mercury in there doing retrograde stuff, you might have kind of a really, I guess, fired up feeling about global issues and religion and philosophy, but it's gonna, because this is associated with higher learning, my suggestion would be try and find maybe books or people that you can listen to, audio tapes, that kind of stuff. Anything where it's going to be somebody's perspective that really challenges your way of thinking. So you want to purposefully put yourself in a situation where you're having to consider stuff that's really different from how you look at things, really different from your usual construct and belief system. This is a time to really challenge that and expand that, because this will allow your mentality to really be flexible during this period, and it'll help you communicate better with others. So I think that's it for Aries ascendant, and I'm going to pull a couple of cards here just to see if there's any suggestions for the week. Any messages from Spirit? Ooh, the crow and the trickster. Yep, sounds right. So the crow has to do with, universal truths, reflections, the shadow work, the void. I feel like there's a lot of shape-shifting kind of stuff here. And with the coyote next to it, my sense is that this is a period of time for Aries ascendants that it's really going to be teaching you how to have a sense of humor about things, how to laugh at yourself. Really don't want to have this time period be a period where you're trying to hang on to your pride a whole bunch. Honestly, this just seems like a period that if you're hanging on to that, it's really going to be difficult. It's going to make you be really hard on yourself unnecessarily. So far from the medicine cards, my suggestion would be really try to embrace this energy of the trickster. There's gonna be periods in your life, obviously, you probably already know this, where stuff just doesn't work and you actually feel like the universe is like out to get you or anything, but that's not the case. This is saying that this is a period of time where it's just trying to ask you to expand your point of view about how things work. What are the universal spiritual perspectives that you can have about, what you really think is going on a physical level? Because there's always patterns underneath this. There's always spiritual things taking place that if you're sitting there hanging on to like, well, I had a plan for this and I'm supposed to be like a perfect person and I don't make mistakes, that's going to be changed. It's going to be changed. Now, the tower here coming up tells me this may be a period for you to consider letting go of things that you've been really trying to like perfect and plan and really control. This is a good time for starting, and I shouldn't say starting new projects, but starting new perspectives. Maybe adjusting your value systems. And let me see. Yeah, I think this is saying don't focus so much on the idea of winning and like being this great accomplisher or victor, just for the sake of winning or being the best. I think this is saying to really focus on what your true desires are in competition. Do you want to be the best so that you can help others in the best way? Do you want to be the best so that you can share your accomplishments? You know what I mean? Really consider why you want to win or to accomplish these specific goals. Because when things get really confusing, when things feel like they're not going your way, this whole hanging on to winning and hanging on to getting the things that you're looking for, it's going to be questioned. It's going to cause you to really look at, okay, well, if I don't win this thing, what was I really out to get? What was I really out for? This is about the process. This is about what it's teaching you, about the whole journey of it all. So I feel like this is, for most people, they might look at this and think, oh my God, what an awful week. I think that has to do with the perspective. You have to learn to consider in the moment what resources are available to you, what opportunities that these kinds of things are asking you to take advantage of. Like, what are the opportunities in the moment? Where can you expand? Where can you be challenged? And where do you think you'll be able to grow as a result of the changes that are happening in your life? Sometimes we're asked to let go of I don't know. I don't want to say big plans. I don't think that that's really the case here. I think it's saying how to pivot, how to take the momentum that you have been developing on these projects or on these ideas of yours or perspectives about yourself, how to pivot and really say, okay, well, that's offering me a lot of resistance right now. And I think if I continue to push against it, it's going to be too draining for me. It's going to take too much energy, and I need my energy to be conserved for where I can do the best work, basically. And so this is talking about pivoting, maybe redirecting your energy in the areas where you feel like you aren't having as much resistance. Like I said, picking up a book where it's going to really challenge your way of thinking so that you can expand and really challenge yourself to grow that way. So I hope this helps for the week, and let me know how also feedback on this whole visual thing here. I'm hoping that's helping. Otherwise, have a good week. Peace.